Most expensive plants. If you've ever been to a botanical garden or even a Pike's nursery, you would have likely felt an instant feeling of inner peace. Hello and welcome back to the channel. And today, we'll be talking about some of the world's most expensive plants. After all, we're all creatures that spend most of our valuable time indoors while enjoying the view of green pastures. Now, it's natural to feel a calling to commune with all things that are green. But just how much green would you be willing to shell out to have a special plant for yourself? Unsurprisingly, most of the world's costliest plants are flowers, whose ornamental nature lends themselves to outsized price tags. First on our list, we have Kadupul flower. Set aside this fleeting beauty from Sri Lanka that blooms as infrequently as once a year. Only a few living things are both as poetic and ephemeral as the Kadupul flower. The Kadupul flower, Sri Lanka's native blossom, is claimed to be one of the world's costliest flowers. This floral species is so expensive, it bears no tag in contrast to other beautiful flowers. The reason for this is because the moment it is picked, it quite often dies. And when it does bloom, it does so in the dark of night and withers away before dawn. So transient, it simply can't be purchased. Juliet rose. Juliet roses are garden roses, and garden roses are costlier to grow and ship than standard roses. They are delicate, so far that they require a better degree of care and handling than a daily rose. And in some cases, they only bloom once a season, whereas standard roses can be harvested continuously. Although the heavenly Juliet rose are often purchased for fewer than $5 million price tags, it's referred to as the €3 million rose because that's what proportion it cost famed rose breeder David Austin to make the apricot-hued hybrid over the course of 15 years. It debuted in 2006 at the Chelsea Flower Show and took the floral world by storm, not just for its blushing beauty, but because it had been the foremost expensive rose ever developed. Shenzhen Nong Orchid. Orchid collectors crawling all the corners of the planet would be unable to seek out this relatively plain Jane of a flower. It had been developed within the lab by Agricultural Research Corporation's Shenzhen Nong Group. The orchid took 8 years to develop, and in 2005, it was sold at auction to an anonymous bidder for a shocking 1.68 million yuan, which is around $202,000, making it one of the most expensive flowers ever bought. Peony. The peony are mostly categorized as an angiosperm within the Peonia, the sole genus within the Peoniaceae. Scientists differ on the amount of species which will be distinguished, starting from 25 to 40, although the present consensus is 33 known species. The relationships between the species got to be further clarified. Most of them are herbaceous perennial plants, which are 0.25 to 1 meter tall, but some are woody shrubs, which are somewhat 0.25 to 3.5 meters tall. They are enormous, often fragrant flowers in colors starting from purple and pink to red, white, or yellow in late spring and early summer. The flowers have a brief blooming season, usually only 7 to 10 days. Herbaceous peonies also are sold as cut flowers on an outsized scale. Although generally only available in late spring and early summer, an emerging source of peonies in mid to late summer is the Alaskan market. Unique growing conditions, thanks to long hours of sunlight, create availability from Alaska when other sources have completed harvest. All Peoniaceae are deciduous perennial herbs with thick storage roots and thin roots for gathering water and minerals. Some species are caspitose because the crown produces adventitious buds, while others have stolons. They have rather large compound leaves without stipules and with a normocytic stoma. In the woody species, the new growth emerges from scaly buds on the previous flush or from the crown of the rootstock. The large bisexual flowers are mostly single at the top of the stem. Each flower is subtended by a variety of bracts, which will form a kind of involucre, 3 to 7 tough free sepals, and mostly 5 to 8 free petals. The annual growth is predetermined if the growing tip of a shoot is removed, with no new buds that will develop that season. Until recently, these incredible, colorful plants were scarce and difficult to reproduce, and gardeners could expect to pay thousands or more just for one. Rothschild's orchid. Rothschild's orchid, commonly referred to as the Gold of Kinabalu orchid, was discovered in 1987, after which it had been ravaged by orchid smugglers and had become nearly extinct. Notable for its imposing horizontal petals, it has been reintroduced by cultivated seedlings, but it remains elusive. It lives within the wild only at the Kinabalu Park in Malaysia, and takes a few years before one bloom appears. Saffron crocus. Saffron comes from the saffron bulb, which is an autumn blooming crocus. Once you've purchased the saffron bulbs, you'll plant them in your yard. As they're fall blooming crocus, you'll plant them within the fall, but they're going to probably not bloom the year you plant them. The saffron flower, known botanically as Crocus sativus, gives us saffron, widely known to be one of the world's costliest species by weight. The pretty purple flower plays home to a deep golden orange stamen that's hand-picked and dried, then sold as saffron. It takes 80,000 flowers to reap a mere 500 grams of saffron, thereby giving room for the exorbitant cost. 17th century Semper Augustus. For this one, we'll time travel back to the 17th century, when buyers within the Netherlands were going bonkers for tulip bulbs, creating the primary speculative market and subsequent crash. Of all the coveted bulbs, the Semper Augustus, with its garnet flames, vividly streaked on white petals, was extraordinary for its beauty, rarity, and price. Just before the tulip mania bubble burst, a price of 10,000 guilders, which is about $5,700, was asked for one Semper Augustus bulb. At the time, that much money could have purchased a grand home on the foremost fashionable canal in Amsterdam, or dressed and fed a whole family for half a lifetime. Gloriosa. This Gloriosa is extremely dangerous. This plant is poisonous and toxic enough to cause human and animal fatalities, at least if consumed and ingested. I mean, every part of the plant is poisonous, especially the tuberous rhizomes. Like other members of the Coccacia, this plant contains high levels of colchicine, a toxic alkaloid. They can climb and reach heights of 8 feet and require a trellis or wall to climb. Although climbing lilies do not produce tendrils, the specialized leaves of the Gloriosa climbing lily cling to the trellis or other plant material to pull the vine upward. Also referred to as flame lilies, fire lilies, and glory lilies, Gloriosa is as beautiful and unique because it is poisonous. Both very showy and delicate, the blooms command pile for his or her rarity. Lisianthus. Lisianthus flowers have gained a reputation, somewhat unfairly, of being finicky and difficult to grow. Single or double 3-inch blooms, most common with florists, grow in every variation of pink and purple. The flowers are attractive as buds and as fully bloomed plants yielding several blooms on each stem. Lisianthus plants also brighten mixed container plantings. Plants reach 24 to 30 inches tall unless growing one among the dwarf varieties, which are best suited to growing in pots. They can be grown from seed, but their size can be surprising. They can also be grown from stem tip cuttings from new plants. It's best to do cuttings in the spring. The Lisianthus blooms annually and grows to about 5 centimeters in diameter. It has delicate, ruffled, wide petals and may be seen only in a range of hues from blue-violet, lavender, white, and pale purple. The flower is dreary because it survives just for a few weeks after it's cut from the stem. The shipped flowers are delicate and white in color, hence they're called paper flowers. Gold of Kinabalu orchid. This flower is costly because of its beauty and rarity. It has lovely green petals embellished with red dots and patches and is grown only in Malaysia's Kinabalu National Park. It's difficult to cultivate this flower as it takes many years to appear. Its rarity and high price have earned this orchid the moniker, Gold of Kinabalu. But what exactly makes these flowers and plants so expensive? Simple, their rarity. Some bloom just once, while some even die trying. Some are impossible to seek out, and some are death-defying to succeed. Some are so rare that they can only appear once every certain number of years. They might be quite expensive, but it's well worthwhile for anyone to understand what these things cost, as any encounter might be the time you will ever see one. Thanks for watching till the end. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us more about your flower choice in the comments.